Hey again, everybody. This is a question out there for those of you who are replayers, which is what do you do with the players who show up in every single season who have like one at bat or one plate appearance and who you can't really do anything with? I mean, it really is a question because you have to start asking yourself, like, I mean, how important is it that this guy get in? How realistic do I really want to make this? Do I want to make sure that every player who had a plate appearance at some time gets a plate appearance in this replay? Is it going to make a difference? Is it going to skew my statistics? Is it not going to skew them? And then the big question, of course, is when do you give them the chance? What do you do with them? I actually don't have a great researched example. What I wanted to show here, if I can get to the right place, is one of those players that we were thinking about while we were playing a little bit earlier today. In fact, I'll show you one here right now that I have up on my screen. So we're going to go back, take a look here at the screen view. I'm going to have to make a little bit of an adjustment here. My apologies, and you'll watch me work my magic. The reason why is because for some strange reason, OBS has decided that it doesn't want to save my settings. And there you have it. Now, there I am, not taking up as much of the screen as I was before. It's going to be a little bit hard for you to see this, and I apologize for this. There's no way for me, you see, I can't change the size of this screen. You know, I can go over here and try to make it, the application size bigger, but it can't be bigger than 1800 by 960. Now, I'd hate to criticize anybody's programming, but I have to say that that's very strange to me and makes me wonder what this is programmed in. Could be like Action PC Baseball, which I'm pretty confident was programmed in Visual Basic. So there you have it. We're looking at Hunky Shaw. Hunky Shaw is a pinch hitter for the Pirates. In fact, I might even open up a browser, see if we can't figure out who this guy is. He had one plate appearance in 1908 and didn't get a hit. So this guy could be a pinch hitter. When you're looking at his card, he has two possible hit numbers. It's an 8 and a 9. So if you're going to put him up, you better hope that you're not facing an A pitcher. And he doesn't really have a whole heck of a lot else, right? There's no walk number on his card. There's no strikeout number on his card. He just has a collection of out numbers, most of which are 30s and 32s. Now, the reason why you have a bunch of 30s and 32s is obvious if you played the game, right? You don't want to give him 31 more than this one on 34. 44 is the same as 31. And the reason why is because if you do, he becomes a great hit and run player. You don't want to do that. So you give him a whole bunch of these kind of garbage numbers that really don't do much. For the air number, they give him a 16, right? So what Bill gave him, well, 16 is basically, going to probably not be an error the vast majority of the time. So that's Hunky Shaw. Now we're going to go take a look here. I'm going to talk to you while I get this turned off. Great technology, I know. This is like, have you ever seen the clips of the real early days of television, like in the 40s when guys would try to like sort of make stuff up on the fly because the camera was always going and nobody really knew what they were doing? That's what this channel is like. So hopefully you enjoy this because it's not like this anywhere else. Let's see if we can find Hunky Shaw. Yep, here is Hunky Shaw. And just as I predicted, Hunky Shaw, who doesn't look all that hunky to me, but what do I know? Hunky Shaw played only in 1908 and only for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Now, there's interesting stuff here. He has a bio from the Sabre Bio Project, which is fantastic. He was a local legend in the Pacific Northwest and the Pacific Coast League, including winning a batting title in 1910 and popularized baseball in the Yakima Valley over in Washington State. I know what that is. I've been there. Pirates had a very short temporary opening at third base, which is why they brought him up. And so if you're playing with Shaw, his one chance would be to play at third base. He got his, or that's the position he would play. I don't know what you rate him as, but that's where he would play if he had that ability. Unfortunately for him, as it says here, in spring training, Shaw didn't really do that well, and so he was relegated back to the bench. So Shaw ended up getting his one chance for the pinch hit opportunity on May 16th, and he came into pinch hit, and he struck out. I'm sorry. Interesting. He struck out, but Skeetersoft doesn't give him the chance to strike out. It may be that when Bill made this up, he didn't know the game-by-game numbers. It may be that he didn't recognize or see that the one number he had was a strikeout, because usually you would have a whole bunch of strikeout numbers on the card, assuming that you're going to use him for one plate appearance. Now, let's go take a look quickly at his game log, and here it is. There's his game log in that game against Philadelphia. That was a 9-0 win for Philadelphia. And we don't, unfortunately, have play-by-play for this game. But there is Hunky Shaw getting his one pinch hit appearance, one pinch hit chance, and this was in the 4th inning, after which who else but Harley Young came on. That's a name that we remember from earlier on today. And that's all that Hunky Shaw ever did in Major League Baseball. Kind of a shame, isn't it? I mean, I would consider that to really be a shame for a guy who played well. Take a quick look here at his minor league stats. I have a feeling that this is going to be some sort of a blog entry, because this is pretty good stuff. You can see here in the minor leagues that he actually was a fairly good hitter, including hitting 304 between the Eastern League and the Northeastern Eastern League. I mean, one's Class A, one's Class B. He hit well in Class B. Did the class difference make that much? I mean, did it make that much difference back then? Probably not. Maybe a little bit, but probably not. He was hitting, in the 270s or so elsewhere. Interesting that the Pirates picked him up. They picked him up out of Tacoma. So this is a little bit misleading, because he was with Pittsburgh first and then went to Jersey City after this happened. He was farmed out. It says here actually to McKeesport, went back to Pittsburgh, and then was sold to Jersey City. So, as you know, this isn't exactly, all 100% correct and up to it. I don't know if McKeesport in the Ohio-Pennsylvania League, I don't know if there are even stats that are easily available for that league. Might not be. There's a lot of work that needs to be done in the minor leagues. Really interesting career. Went away and then came back at some point in time, 1923. Let's see if we can figure this out here from the biography. Isn't this a wonderful channel as we try to read things together? Oh, yes, look at this. So in 1916, he returned to the Seattle Giants. He returned to, the Seattle Giants, got released, worked for Standard Oil for a while, and then did some semi-pro work. Ended up playing with Yakima for a while, and then jumped over to Edmonton and wound up coaching at the University of Washington. I mean, this guy was pretty old by 1922, and had a couple of stints there in 1923 before getting released and then being hired again as another player manager. This is fascinating stuff, by the way, because when you look into these guys, you can see the reason why I'm really, really interested in, spending time learning about some of these guys who have just one plate appearance in Major League history, sort of the Moonlight Grahams. If you really read about these guys and their lives, you'll see that they were very, very interesting people, and they were, in many cases, actually very good players, right? Now, do I really think that Shaw, had a chance of starting at third base on the Pirates? I mean, probably not, right? Over Tommy Leach? I don't think so. Interesting. So I'm showing, you're not seeing this. I'm just looking at the screen here. Leach has 152 games in 1908, which means that there really was not much of a chance for Shaw to get in the lineup. It just simply wasn't going to happen, right? Leach was 30. Shaw was 23 at the time. Yeah, 23 years old or so. Technically, he was 22. No, I'm sorry, 23, right? Because 1908, yeah. 23-year-old kid, I mean, he didn't have that much of a chance to get in the lineup no matter how good he was, because you're not going to take Tommy Leach out and let some kid get all the starts for him. And so that's kind of what happened in the end, and that was kind of the end of his career. But, when you look at this guy and what his story's like and all the other things that he does, that's where it becomes really interesting, because he's floating around all over the place, right? He's spending time in this part of America and that part of America doing odd jobs here and odd jobs there, and he's staying with a contract maybe for a year, maybe for less, and then he hops somewhere else, and does all of this. The fascinating part about this is this gives us sort of a window into what America was like at the time in 1908 or in 1912 or in 1921 or 1922 or whatever, right? Stuff that in some cases is somewhat recognizable. We have a lot of people who move a lot in the country these days, but other stuff that you might not have realized so much. And you think about, America then was so pastoral and so undeveloped. Maybe not so much. I mean, these guys could get around, knew where to go get work, and were pretty assertive and aggressive in getting it. So there you have it. That's the story of Hunky Shaw. A question still remains, though, and I'd love to know what you think about it, especially for the replayers. I mean, what do you think? What do you do with these guys who had one at-bat? Right? And that's their whole major league career, right? If you're the one who's like the god of the replay world and all this stuff, do you actually put them in, or do you just keep them out, right? What do you do? How do you handle this? And the big question for Bill Staff, who's probably not going to watch this, is how come he doesn't have a 13 on his card? He struck out in his one at-bat, in his one plate appearance, actually. So it's a 1,000 strikeout rate, right? That's not what you want to see. In fact, let's take a quick look here and see. Yes, here we go. So this is the image I'll leave you with. And again, I mean, this is too small. Let's see if I can zoom in here a little bit. Yeah, it's at 100% zoom. There we go. Now you're going to wonder why I didn't do that earlier. Now you can actually see it. Here we go under advanced batting, where we can learn about his ROBA and his RBAT plus, which is very much a minus. I don't know how this isn't like minus 200 or minus infinity, because he didn't do anything well. But the fun part is his batting ratio, which is a strikeout percentage of 1,000. And that's what we love to see. There you have it. And we'll talk with you again later. Take care. Bye-bye.